So Iris joined us about a year ago, and it was just fascinating, the conversation. So much so that people were talking the week afterward and said, we've got to have her back. And she just made everybody think. So I love where Iris got us thinking last year about what's in our heads, and whether you're leading yourself or you're leading a group. Iris had some really good ideas, and she's also a dog trainer. I'll let her describe that. But when she came back and said, to be a leader as good as your dog, it's just like, wait a minute, I love dog people. And we got talking and says, okay, this seems like something we need to share. So with that, Iris, it's all you.
Thank you, Hall. And I guess I have about 10 minutes, right? And then we open it up for Q&A.
Yep.
Right? Good. All right, great. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So let me start out. Who of you currently has a dog? All right, everybody except John and Lee. John and Lee, let me ask you guys, have you ever had a dog?
Yes, love dogs.
You love dogs.
We moved to a new house. We don't yet have a fence, so.
Okay, but you know, that is actually something that can easily resolve. And Lee, just give me an idea about you and dogs. Do you like them? You don't like them? Just to get a feel.
I like dogs.
Good.
But I can't, I don't have the commitment for them. So I have two cats because they're low maintenance.
All right, cool. And I just wanted to get a feel of who is in the room in case there is somebody here who got here by accident and really doesn't like dogs at all, right? So just as Hall said, my thing is I love dogs. I have been having dogs now for 20 years. 20 years. And my first dog was a German Shepherd, and I took that very seriously. He became a so-called Schutzhund, which is a personal protection dog. And I competed with him on a national basis. And so I learned a lot about dog training. And we traveled around the Southeast to work with canine police dog trainers. I learned a lot about dog nutrition. So, I mean, dogs are really my passion. And then I'm also a leadership coach and trainer. Again, I have been doing that for 21 years. And the dog piece is really, once my dogs retired, I had all of this knowledge. And I thought, what am I going to do with it now? So I devoted some of my time to help rescue groups raise money for their organizations by providing workshops for adopters. And then out of that, people came to me and said, hey, Iris, can you help me work with my dog one-on-one? And that is how Paul said, I became a dog trainer. But the good thing about it, the interesting part is my website is called itsnotthedog.com, because it's never the dog, right? It's always about the person, the leader, the one who is in charge, the guardian. I don't like to call them dog owners. I like to call them dog guardians. And so with that, really, I got into the dog training piece. It was not something that I actually pursued. It came to me. And then a few years back, I was hired by a small business owner who had some issues with his team. And the team, he had some recent turnover. The team was really not engaged that he wanted to. And he hired me to help him figure out what he could do with his team. So I started out doing a 360 interview to learn more about this leader and his name. I make up the name to make sure the confidentiality stays valid. Let's call him Mike. So I did the interview about him, and I learned a lot of things about him. And then that was before COVID, I met him at his office. And surprisingly, there was his dog. It was a Labrador. His name was Ben. And Ben was really a very laid back, good looking, black lab, so calm, so nice, so peaceful. So in one of the breaks, he said to me, come on, I need to take Ben outside. And so he took Ben outside, and Ben followed him, exactly how Mike wanted him to do it. And he got outside and he threw the ball, and Ben brought the ball back each time, dropped it in front of Mike. He threw it out again. The dog came back. So what do we know about labs? Question to you.
They like to retrieve things.
They like to retrieve things. What else?
They're clowns, they're goofy.
They're clowns, they're goofy. What else? What are they known for?
Affection and loyalty?
Affection and loyalty, but also they are happy dogs, right? When you see a lab, they are happy, they are goofy, their tail is going, but Ben's wasn't. And I was surprised by that, right? He was like, as I say, he was an obedient dog who did what was asked of him to do, but there was no fun. He had no fun doing this exercise. And so that got me thinking, right? And because similar issues happen in the company, the people didn't have fun. They were disengaged. People left the company. What I got in the 360 interview is that Mike was very good and knew a lot in the industry, but there was no fun in the company. So it didn't dawn on me until, it really felt like this in place, where I said to him then, I brought in my dog training hat and said, come on, how can you bring that fun back for Ben? So we did some brainstorming. I brought in some dog training ideas, and I asked him to retrain Ben and make the fetching a fun exercise for Ben. So I gave him a couple of weeks to figure this out, and then I came back and I saw some improvement there. So then what I said is, all right, you do know how to do it with Ben. So you have the skill because you love Ben, you have a connection with him. How can you build that connection with your team? How can you create more fun in your organization? How can you get your team like that engaged, where they are coming back and are happy to bounce off ideas with you? And that is really something that happened, again, by accident in that moment. But then when I walked home with all of that, I realized, all right, I have something here. I have my love for dogs, and I have my love about leadership development. And I want to find a way to merge them both, because when you have a dog, you love your dog. And we also know that dogs are really the ones that are mirroring our emotions and our thoughts in more ways than we can imagine, because they are truly here for us, to serve us, to help us to become better people in our own lives. And so Ben was really the partner for Mike at that time to transform with him, because there are three ways how I look at how we can include dogs into leadership development. One is transforming with the dog, where the leader, the person, transforms first, and with that, the dog transforms as well. In this case, it was Mike had to get out of his shell, had to become playful, had to become goofy, had to make things fun so that things would be fun for Ben, but then he also was challenged to make things fun in his company. The second piece is what I call transform from dogs. And that is really where last year when I spoke to your group, I talked about the mental fitness piece, right? And we humans, we are addicted sometimes to these mental loops that are going in our head. The interesting piece is dogs don't have that issue. And what is also interesting, many people think, all right, dogs are really not that smart as we humans are. And I say, dogs are smart in a different kind of way. Just imagine this. Somebody is ringing the doorbell. Your dog will run up at the door and start barking, 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 alarming you that somebody is coming, right? But then you call them right off. The dog comes back, he or she wags their tail, and then you are like, come on, lay down. And the dog lays down and immediately goes back into calm and relaxation. Let's say something happens in your life that gets you mentally and emotionally rattled up. Right? Let's say something goes wrong in your company, or, let's say, a pipe bursts in your house. what typically happens is when something like this happens to us, we tend to not just deal with the issue, but then immediately go back into relaxation. No, we keep that mental loop going and going and going. Not only that, if there is something stressful at work, if somebody really pissed us off, it's very hard to focus in the next 30 minutes. And not only that, right? We are coming back home. Our spouse already sees in our face that something didn't go right. We asks how are you doing? And we are throwing this stuff up all over again. Cortisol goes up in our body. Our body is stressed, is going into a stress mode. We now know it takes between 24 to 48 hours for that cortisol to go back to normal. And again, we just cannot let go of these mental disturbances and emotional disturbances that happen in our life. And that is actually something where we can learn from a dog, because dogs don't hold on to that stuff. Dogs don't make it personal. There is something that they need to address. They come right back. The threat is gone. They go back into relaxation. What is also interesting, if you think about it, animals in the wild do not have mental health issues. Now, animals when you go to a veterinarian and you ask them, what about mental health in dogs? They say to you, we don't know about mental health. We cannot categorize it because we can't look into their heads. How we look at it is as behavioral problems. Do you know dogs that have behavioral problems? Now, here's the interesting piece, right? Our mental health well-being determines our emotional well-being, determines our behavior. So same thing is with dogs. The vets may not be able to classify it as a mental health issue, but the behavioral issues that our dogs are having always comes back to something where they are not mentally truly led by us or mentally fulfilled. And again, that is where our support and our leadership can come in to help our dogs to transcend from that, to transform from that, so that the harmony in the house is better. And at the same time that we are learning from our dogs by teaching them how we also can become mentally more resilient as well. And then the last piece that I want to talk about is transforming for dogs. And actually, tomorrow, if you guys are interested, I have every Wednesday at noon an interactive training called Unleash the Leader in You. And tomorrow we talk emotional well-being and our dogs. Because again, think about it like this. As I said earlier, dogs mirror our emotions and our thoughts with their own behavior. And not only that, emotions are nothing else than a sensation in our body of an energy shift that is happening in our body. Now, if you think about it, dogs can sense seizures. Dogs can even now smell COVID, right? Dogs are so in tune with our emotions that if we are not able to take better care of ourselves emotionally, it will have an impact on our dogs, and it has an impact on the people around us. So again, the three ways to transform with dogs from a leadership perspective is transform with dogs, transform from dogs, and transform for dogs. And that is what I do. I go into companies, I work with people one-on-one to make leadership development fun, because when they can do it with their dogs, when people can do this for their dog and transform for their dog, then I do know they also can do it for the people around them, because leadership always starts right here with us first. Questions?
Wow. Okay. So 1 in 4 of us has mental health issues, but none of our dogs do.
Okay.
And we're all
That
dogs.
sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
So what does it tell you?
So does anybody here work with dogs? Does anybody?
Actually, yeah,
dog
I used to train dogs, or not dogs, right? People, but obedience training and agility. So there are dogs with mental health issues.
I thought she
But,
said just in the wild, they didn't have mental health
okay.
issues.
Correct.
Right,
That's, in the wild, animals don't have mental health issues.
yeah.
But you know, with dogs, as soon as dogs, whether they are in captivity or whether they are living with us, that is when these kind of issues can occur.
Mm. Yeah, but I am so I have a small company, and with COVID, where everybody worked remotely, I think it's a real challenge to keep teams engaged, foster employee loyalty, and all those things. So to where as a company now, we are very, we try to accommodate. So it's bring your dog to the office and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I think this conversation we're having is very timely. It's awesome.
Mhm. Great.
Uli, can you see a difference when there's a dog that comes to work someday?
With us maybe. Well, Ginger, who's calm, she's very, very relaxed, but we're quiet anyway. But when my Jack Russell used to come, not so relaxed. He was all over the place.
Lee, what is bring your dog to work on Friday?
Yeah, at my previous place of employment, we had bring your dog to work Friday, and you could tell, I mean, that everybody was in a better mood, that made a big impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It also helps, we sit in front of our desk so much. So having a dog in the office, you have the opportunity to take them outside, so get up, do some, move around some. That also is very positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Just petting dogs, just spending time. They now can measure that, how really our stress level goes down just by petting a dog, right? That by itself can be of value.
Well, how you're muted.
You were enjoying that, I know. How do you start this? I know that because I do dog rescue, it sometimes becomes a conversation point. How would you get more dogs engaged in the workplace? I mean, is that an opportunity? It sounds like, it's better people if I can find dog people to work with.
So I always believe, more companies probably would be willing to allow dogs in the workplace if dogs were better trained, right? And dog training always comes back to leadership. Sure, the dog has to learn certain skills, right? But then in the end, it's really about what is the energy that the dog guarding is bringing to the relationship with the dog, and how is the dog guarding reinforcing the behavior that is wanted versus reinforcing the behavior that is not wanted. So in other words, if people really took that more seriously, dog owners or dog guardians, I believe then companies probably also would be more willing to open this up, because there is obviously the benefit of bringing the dog to work in the way of that dogs are relaxing and they bring fun into the workplace. But not only that, there are many companies now that allow dogs to come to the workplace because they know that the employees don't feel like they have to rush at 5 o'clock in the evening to get home in order to take the dog out. So it's actually in that way a benefit for the company as well.
Doggy daycare at work. So Jonathan, you just had an idea about, and I was curious, do they get trained, if they have to go through dog training, is that an expensive credit?
So we were just making a joke, right? You have this job posting, must be proficient in Microsoft Office and have yellow or black lab. When you come to the interview, please bring lab.
Iris, do you think with the whole, you think with the whole work from home thing, dogs as a whole are happier right now?
I believe so. And not only that, if you saw with COVID, the number of dogs in shelters went down dramatically, right? People were suddenly adopting dogs left and right. Unfortunately, now that more people have to go back to the offices, people just think like a dog is like a piece of furniture. Now it's not convenient for me anymore, and now I'm dropping them back off in the shelter, which in my eyes is wrong. But yeah, I mean, dogs love it. Cats could care less, as far as I know, but dogs, especially, again, just like as Uli said, you take the dog out frequently, you take a break like that. There is just petting the dog sometimes is relaxing for you. So many different benefits.
I got a question for Jeff. I know, Jeff, you help businesses find staff more so for the process, not the recruiting job, but not as a recruiter, but you're helping companies describe who they want. And Jonathan, I love the idea of you got to have a dog along with that. Jeff, what's your thoughts on helping businesses, or the willingness of businesses to say, yeah, maybe we should include having a dog at, like Lee was saying, Dog Friday or something?
I think anything that opens up the workforce and to Iris's point, makes it more fun to work there is a positive thing. And if that means dogs, that's great. If it means ping pong tables in the lobby, that's great. Whatever it is, to get out of that, oh, this job is a drudgery, and make it more fun, you're going to be more productive, and it's very beneficial. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Way to go, Jonathan.
I'm wondering, going back to, how, our team is now a hybrid, and actually I'm interviewing somebody who is just a young mother. She just has an eight-week-old baby. And so then I'm trying to make this work. So I'm, as a business owner, I told her this morning, I said, I don't really care about the 9 to 5. I just want you, when you are doing your project management, be able to focus. And then if you need time away, you step away. I just wonder still, how do we learn? How do we get better? How can we manage these remote teams better and engaged?
Well, let's hold that one for next week, because I think that's part of the conversation that Jeff will be talking about, is who you hire, and part of that is, to your point, Uli, about how to manage them. So I think this is a good time to wrap up. We did say that the format was changing to be a little bit longer, but not much longer. So we still want to respect your lunchtime break. So we're going to wrap up here with a quick note about, not that. Just a wrap up that final thoughts about lead by example. And I think Jared found a good one with the dog leading. And next week, or not next week, 2 weeks. Remember, we're doing the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays. So the 4th Tuesday of this month, we'll be talking about why the hiring gap and where the people are. Jeff spends a good bit of his time coaching his clients on how to attract and retain good employees. And while you're saying, oh, that's healthcare. But no, Jeff's got things beyond that. So Iris, wonderful statements, wonderful ideas. You've done it again, where you got us thinking differently about what's right in front of our faces, or maybe in this case, right at our feet. So
That's right.
Nice.
Thank you all for having me.
thank you all.
Yeah.
Please
Thank
keep
you,
in touch
Iris.
with Iris, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.